My mom sent one message, 8 words, one emoji, and it ended every version of family I thought I belonged to. Don't bother showing up. We want a stress-free Thanksgiving, she wrote. My sister added a laughing face underneath, like I was the punchline. I sat on my couch, holding the phone like it had burned me, and typed back the first true thing I'd said in years. Wonderful. Then I'm canceling mom's insurance I've been paying. That's when the silence changed. That's when they remembered I existed. My name's Rina. I'm 32. I live above a florist shop in Portland where the windows rattle when buses pass, and for the last 7 years, I've been the person who shows up. Quietly. Reliably. I pay bills I never mention, I remember birthdays nobody else does, and I answer late-night phone calls that start with, "Can I just ask one tiny favor?" If you asked me last week, I'd have said my family was complicated, but close. We text daily, we talk often enough, and even when things hurt, we keep showing up. Until they decided I shouldn't. The message came at 7:42 p.m. sharp, in the family group chat called Us Red Heart, which Amanda renamed after Dad died. I was folding laundry, balancing my phone on my knee, when I saw it light up. Don't bother showing up. We want a stress-free Thanksgiving. Sent by Mom. No greeting. No explanation. Just a clean cut. 2 seconds later, Amanda added a laughing emoji. The tilted one, like she'd just made the best joke of her life. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the reply button, then stopped. For a second, I thought maybe it wasn't meant for me. But it sat there, clear as anything. Don't bother. I reread it over and over, like maybe I'd missed a hidden kindness tucked between the lines, but there was nothing. No typo, no mistaken identity, just my own mother telling me I'd become an inconvenience. I waited for someone else to say something, maybe my uncle, maybe Amanda's husband, someone to ask what that was about. But the group chat had gone still. That kind of still that makes your ears ring. So I set the laundry down and said the one thing I'd been holding for years. Wonderful. Then I'm canceling mom's insurance I've been paying. I hit send. The bubble disappeared. Then typing. Then nothing. 3 minutes of complete silence. Amanda finally sent. Wait, what? Then Mom added a single Rina, like she was just now realizing I had teeth. But the chat stayed quiet after that. No apology. No explanation. Just a digital freeze-out, like maybe if they didn't say anything, I'd calm down and fix it. It was almost funny how quickly silence becomes strategy when someone's used to you swallowing your own hurt. I left the chat open, just to see if anyone would keep going. But the next thing anyone sent was a photo of Amanda's new centerpiece. I didn't cry. I thought I would, but I didn't. Instead, I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and stood there staring at my fridge at the grocery list I'd written last night for the stuffing Mom likes. I'd already bought the rosemary. I'd planned on bringing her favorite spiced apple cider, the one she pretends is too sweet but finishes anyway. I looked at that list, and it hit me all at once. They didn't just uninvite me, they unremembered me. Like I was never the one who kept things from falling apart. I sat down at the table and opened my banking app. The auto draft for Mom's health insurance was scheduled for the 15th. I clicked cancel with one thumb, like it was any other subscription. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was just clarity, the kind that comes when someone finally says what they really mean out loud. I didn't owe them my silence. I didn't owe them anything they couldn't even bother to remember I gave. The phone buzzed again. We should talk, Mom texted. But she didn't call. And I didn't answer. The next morning started slow, gray light pushing through my curtains like it didn't want to be there, the house colder than usual because I hadn't turned the heat up, didn't see the point, didn't feel like pretending the day was normal. My phone buzzed twice, missed call from Amanda, then a voicemail from Greg. I let it sit. I made tea instead of coffee because my stomach was already tight, then sat on the edge of the couch, phone in hand, heart doing that dull, slow thud that usually came before family events or after certain texts. Greg's message was careful, fake casual, like he was tiptoeing across glass in his socks. Hey Rina, I just wanted to check in, see what's going on with this insurance thing. I think there's some confusion. Maybe we can just talk it through. There was a pause. Him breathing, probably waiting to see if I'd interrupt, even though it was voicemail. Anyway, call me when you can. I didn't. I pulled my laptop onto my knees instead, logged into my bank account, and opened the recurring payments section, the list of charges I never told anyone about. The insurance was just one. Underneath it, I saw the cell plan, Mom's line, and the extra data Amanda added when she upgraded, which no one ever offered to reimburse. I saw the Hulu subscription, which Amanda used for her kids, and Spotify, which somehow had Mom's name on it even though she never listens to music unless it's Christmas. I scrolled further and found the electric bill from last winter, the one I paid when Mom was between pensions and Amanda said she'd circle back. She never did. The total wasn't huge, not to them, but I felt it. I opened a spreadsheet, started typing. Date, description, amount. The list grew faster than I thought it would. I added up the totals and stopped at $4,986.33. I stared at that number, remembering every time Amanda had said, "It's not like you have kids, you can help," as if being childless meant I owed them more, like my free time, my silence, my money belonged to them. Mom never corrected her. She just let me say yes. I closed the spreadsheet and sat back, suddenly remembering the way Mom used to say I was good in a crisis. By noon, the chat lit up again. This time, Sean sent a meme. A nervous cat with the caption, "Me watching family drama unfold without contributing," followed by Amanda, "Rina, seriously, what's going on? Are you okay?" The kind of message that only comes when someone realizes they need something from you. I replied, "I'm fine. I just stopped paying for things I'm not invited to." I didn't expect a reply, and for a while, there wasn't one, just the read receipts hanging there like eyes blinking. I muted the thread and went back to my tea. Around 3:15, Mom called. I picked up because part of me still does, because she's my mother, and because some habits run deeper than memory. "Sweetheart," she started, her voice soft like tissue, "I think we should talk this through. You're clearly upset, and I didn't mean it like that." I asked what she meant, and there was a pause. "I just wanted this year to feel peaceful, you know? Less tension." I asked whose tension. She didn't answer, just said, "You've always been so sensitive," the way someone might say allergic or difficult, as if my reaction was the problem. I told her the insurance was canceled. I said it calmly, directly, didn't decorate it with apologies. "Rina, you know I can't afford that right now," she said quickly, then added, "I wish you'd told me." I had told her. 2 years ago, when she missed her first payment and I took it over, she thanked me once and never brought it up again. "You didn't have to make a big scene," she added. I laughed, not loudly, just enough for her to hear the edge. "This isn't a scene," I said. "This is a receipt." She didn't respond. Later that night, Amanda sent a private message. "You didn't need to humiliate Mom like that." This is exactly the kind of drama she was trying to avoid. I stared at the screen, thumb frozen. Drama. That's what it is when you speak plainly, when you don't let things slide back into their usual shape. I typed. "She uninvited me from a dinner I helped pay for. I'm just adjusting accordingly." No reply. I made dinner rice, eggs, and the green onions I'd nearly forgotten in the fridge. I ate with the lights off, phone face down, my name quiet again. The next morning, I woke up to 6 missed calls and a voicemail from Greg that started with, "Look, we've been talking, and this isn't the way to handle things." I didn't press play on the rest. The heat still hadn't kicked in, so I pulled on my thick socks and made coffee, the old kind from the freezer I keep for emergencies. It was quiet outside, a kind of November hush that always made the street feel older. I sat at the kitchen table with the spreadsheet still open, the cursor blinking beside the last total I'd entered. Somewhere in the list was the payment I made for Amanda's root canal when she'd switched jobs and didn't have coverage. I remembered the exact number, $780, because she texted me a crying selfie from the dentist chair and said, "You literally saved me." She never paid me back, never mentioned it again. There was also the time I covered Mom's copay for her eye surgery and then quietly paid for the follow-up Uber rides when she didn't want to ask Amanda for help. These weren't favors. They were scaffolding. I'd built an entire support beam under a family I never questioned. I called the pharmacy that afternoon to check when Mom's prescription would be affected. "Her coverage ends today," the woman said, sounding polite but tired. I asked if anything was ready for pickup, and she said, blood pressure meds, 30-day refill. I said thank you, then hung up and stared at my own name on the utility app. Everything they forgot, everything I never asked them to see, it all had my name on it. I was invisible until I stopped performing. That's when silence turned to panic. It always does. They don't miss you, just the benefits. That evening, Sean messaged privately. Just wanted to say I get it. They're not fair to you. I stared at the message, unsure what to do with it. We hadn't been close in years, not since his wedding when Mom made a toast and forgot to include me in the list of people who helped. Sean had noticed even then. He'd whispered, that was messed up, while Amanda smiled across the table like it hadn't happened. I typed back, thanks. He replied, you deserve better. I didn't know how to receive that either, so I just left it at that. Amanda called again during dinner. I let it ring, watched her name flash across the screen like a warning. Then a text followed. We're having a family meeting Friday. At Mom's. You should come. Not an apology. Not an invitation. An assignment. I thought about the last time I sat on Mom's couch, peeling the plastic from a frozen pie while Amanda shouted at her kid in the background. I thought about how Greg never looked up from his phone. I thought about the way Mom offered to heat the cider but asked me to clean up after. Friday came. I didn't go. Instead, I made cinnamon toast and sat by the window, legs curled under me, watching the neighbor carry groceries in while her daughter helped with the light bags. I wonder what that felt like, to be useful without being used. Around 4 p.m., Amanda sent one final message, just know we tried. When you're ready to be part of this family again, let us know. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I'd been part of the family the entire time, just not the way they wanted to remember. Not as someone equal. Only ever as backup. At 8:12 p.m., the group chat updated. New name, Thanksgiving Circle. My name was gone. The old thread, the one with years of history. Birthdays, recipes, photos of our dad in the backyard with the grill had been archived. Replaced. I opened it one last time and scrolled. There I was, in the background of everything. Dropping off, covering, reminding. Always just out of focus. I set the phone down gently and turned off the kitchen light, the room folding into quiet, the spreadsheet still open on the screen, the total now reaching 5,620. On Saturday morning, the doorbell rang while I was still in my robe, hair wet, towel draped over one shoulder. I waited, hoping they'd go away, but then I heard her voice, muffled through the door, but unmistakable. Rina, open up. Please. I peeked through the curtain. It was Amanda, standing there with her arms crossed and a reusable grocery bag at her feet. I opened the door slowly, leaving the chain on. You could have called, I said. She shrugged, said, you weren't answering. I didn't move, and neither did she. We stood there for a long minute. Can we talk inside? She asked, but not softly, like it was an inconvenience to ask at all. I hesitated, then unlatched the chain and stepped back. She walked in like it was her place, looked around like she was surprised by how small it was. It's cleaner than I expected, she said, like that was some kind of compliment. I stayed by the counter, arms folded. So what's this really about? She sat on the edge of the couch, like she didn't want to get comfortable, and said, Mom's been crying all week. She says you've turned on her. I laughed, not to mock her, just because the sentence sounded ridiculous out loud. I turned on her? I repeated, then tilted my head. She uninvited me. Amanda rolled her eyes, said, you're always so literal, Rina. She didn't mean it like that. You know she's been stressed. I nodded slowly, not because I agreed, but because I knew the script. The soft rewriting. The subtle shifting of who caused what. You said you wanted a stress-free Thanksgiving. You all decided I was the stress. She looked down at her hands, picked at a cuticle. It's not just that. She sighed, finally meeting my eyes. You've been distant for a while. You never come early to help, you leave before dessert's cleared, you barely talk unless someone asks you a direct question. I nodded again. That's all true, I said. But you left out that I also bring half the groceries, pay for the stuff Mom says she'll Venmo later, and cover your kids' field trip when you forget your wallet. Her face tightened. That's not fair, she said. I walked to the fridge, opened it, closed it again. Maybe not. but it's accurate." She didn't have anything to add. She stood up then, like the conversation was done. "This is really about the money?" she asked, voice sharper now. "Because if you needed it back, you could have just asked instead of going nuclear." I didn't yell, didn't raise my voice. "I didn't need it back," I said. "I needed it to mean something." Amanda looked away, jaw clenching. "You've always had a way of making things feel like a guilt trip." I smiled, tired but still steady. "Maybe you just feel guilty." She looked like she might cry, but she didn't. Just grabbed her bag, muttered, "Happy early Thanksgiving," and left. The door clicked shut behind her, not slammed, just quiet and final. I locked it, poured myself a glass of water, and leaned against the sink. The place still smelled faintly of the rosemary I'd meant to use for stuffing. I looked at the calendar on the wall. 3 days until Thanksgiving. 3 days until they gathered without me, probably with my name hovering just behind the sweet potatoes. I wasn't sad, not exactly. Just emptied out. Like when you carry something too long, and your arms forget how to hang naturally once it's gone. That night, I got a text from Sean. "So, heard Amanda showed up. You okay?" I typed back, "I think so." He responded a few minutes later, "If you want a plate, we're doing something low-key at ours. Just us and Ellie. No drama." I didn't answer right away. I sat with it for a while, watching the words blink up at me. Then I wrote, "Thanks. I might take you up on that." I didn't know if I meant it yet, but I liked that the door was cracked open, not flung wide, just enough light to step toward. Thanksgiving morning arrived quiet, the kind of gray stillness that makes even the birds pause, as if they're waiting to see who shows up and who doesn't. I made eggs the way Dad used to, low heat, folded slow, barely seasoned, and ate at the counter with one foot tucked under my leg. The family chat had been dead silent since Amanda's visit. No happy Thanksgiving, no last-minute pie photos, just a flicker of names and timestamps sitting still. I wondered if they'd already started cooking, if they'd laugh like everything felt normal. Around 11, Sean texted, "We're starting around 3. Swing by if you feel up for it. No pressure." I stared at it for a while, then typed back, "Thanks. I might." I didn't get dressed right away. I did dishes slowly, rearranged the spice rack for the 3rd time this week, changed the sheets even though they didn't need it. The house felt both too quiet and too safe, like it was holding its breath with me. I checked the time again at 1:40, then finally went to the closet and pulled out the only sweater I hadn't cried in. I brought a bottle of wine. Nothing fancy, a red blend I liked for the label more than the taste. Sean answered the door barefoot, Ellie behind him holding a tray of roasted vegetables, both of them smiling like they meant it. "You came," Sean said, voice a little softer than usual. I shrugged, stepping inside, warm air wrapping around me like a coat. Didn't feel like eating alone. He nodded, then gently took the bottle from my hand. "Good. You're here now." The kitchen smelled like rosemary and garlic, and someone had put jazz on, low and cozy. We sat at the table around 3:30, just 4 of us, including Sean's neighbor Alina, who worked nights at the hospital and laughed with her whole body. No one made a big speech. No one asked where the rest of the family was. We passed dishes with quiet care, asked small questions, refilled each other's drinks. At one point, Ellie asked if anyone had a Thanksgiving tradition growing up, and I almost said, being helpful, but I stopped myself and said, apple cider with too much cinnamon, which made Sean smile like he remembered too. Halfway through dessert, spiced pumpkin bars with crumbled pecans, my phone buzzed. "Amanda." I let it ring out, then saw the message come in. "Hope you're happy. Mom was asking where you were all day. Said she didn't even want to eat." I read it twice, then set the phone down next to my plate. Sean glanced at me but didn't ask, didn't push. "Want coffee?" he said instead. I nodded. "That'd be nice." He got up without another word. The kitchen clinked with spoons and mugs, the kind of sound that never makes a person flinch. We played cards after dinner, Ellie teaching us a game none of us could keep the rules to, and we laughed so hard my stomach ached. For a moment, I forgot about the email from Mom's insurance I'd received the night before, the one asking if I was sure I wanted to fully close the account, warning me it might affect her coverage immediately. I'd clicked confirm anyway. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel cruel. I just felt like it wasn't mine to carry anymore. That weight had always been shared unequally, and I was done pretending it wasn't. When I got home later, the hallways smelled like cinnamon from the neighbors' candles, and my apartment felt warm in a way it hadn't in weeks. I changed into pajamas, reheated the leftovers Sean insisted I take, and ate them standing at the sink. The phone lit up again. Another message from Amanda. You chose this. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned on the lamp near the window, sat with my tea, and let the night settle. Some people think walking away is about anger. Sometimes, it's just the first time you've allowed yourself to stop begging for a seat.